So ladies and gentlemen, something historic is happening in New York City right now, and the media is doing everything that they can to pretend that it's not real. But the numbers don't lie. The footage doesn't lie, and the people fleeing the city in record-breaking waves, they definitely don't lie. I mean, because what you're watching right now in real time, this is the collapse of a once great American city under the weight of its own radical socialist leadership. And I don't say this lightly either. I mean, this isn't political rhetoric. This isn't exaggeration. This is documented reality. A brand new far-left mayor, openly aligned with the Democrat Socialist of America, has marched into office promising justice, equity, and people's power. And within months, the results are catastrophic. Police fleeing the NYPD in numbers that we've never seen before. City-run grocery stores collapsing before they even get off the ground. Empty shelves, crime skyrocketing, and subway violence exploding. Guys, price controls and rent freezes that are actually making rents higher. 800,000 people packing up and moving out. Florida, Texas, anywhere that they can escape from. Remember, this isn't 2020. This is November 2025, guys. Donald J. Trump is back in the White House trying to clean up America's cities, but New York has chosen to go the exact opposite direction. And the consequences, well, let's just say that the consequences are brutal. They're immediate and they are undeniable. When a government tries to run grocery stores, when a mayor tries to reimagine public safety by dismantling the NYPD, when criminals get arrested 80, 90 times and then walk right back out onto the street, when rent freezes make apartments disappear instead of reappear, when taxes explode while services collapse, there's only one possible ending to that story. People leave, businesses leave, safety disappears, and the city falls apart. And here's the part that nobody wants to even admit. It's not an accident. It's not a mistake. This is the inevitable, predictable result of a radical ideology that cares more about revolutionary change than the people who are actually living in the city. Now, today we're breaking down how New York went from one of the most iconic cities in human history to a cautionary tale on par with Detroit in the 80s, or maybe even San Francisco in the 2020s. A city on the edge, a government in denial, a population in open revolt, and a mayor who is doubling down no matter how many lives are destroyed in the process. Buckle up, folks, because once you hear what's actually happening on the ground, in the subways, in the grocery stores, in the courts, in the housing market, you're going to understand exactly why experts are saying New York is facing a collapse unlike anything we've ever seen in modern America. So stay locked in, hit the like button, share this video with someone who needs to know the truth, because everything you're about to hear is real and it's happening right now. So folks, let's start with the obvious. So New York City didn't just elect a mayor, they elected an activist with a mandate to socially re-engineer the entire city. This man didn't hide it. I mean, he proudly aligned himself with the Democratic Socialists of America, promoting government-run grocery stores, rent freezes, and policing philosophy that treats criminals like misunderstood victims. And voters, many of them desperate, many uninformed, never imagined how fast those promises were turned into consequences. They didn't vote for collapse, but collapse found them anyway. And the moment ideology replaced common sense, well, that's where everything blew up in Mamdani's face. And while New York spirals, President Trump is watching this disaster unfold with the urgency of a firefighter staring at a burning skyscraper. Since returning to the White House in 2025, Trump has issued aggressive directives aimed at restoring law and order in America's collapsing urban centers. But here's the tension. Every step that Trump takes to stabilize cities, New York's new mayors are countering with policies that unravel them. This is basically like a tug of war between restoration and radicalism. One side is fighting to rebuild America, but the other side is determined to reimagine it into something unrecognizable. So now here's where the collapse speeds up. The NYPD isn't just shrinking, it's bleeding out. Over 300 officers a month are walking away from the job, heading to Florida, Texas, or straight into federal agencies where they actually enforce the law. New York is hitting historic lows in police staffing, and the public feels it. Response times are slower, patrols are thinner, and entire neighborhoods whisper the exact same terrifying question. What happens the moment nobody shows up? Because in many parts of the city, that moment has already arrived. And it's no mystery why officers are running. Imagine earning $60,000 a year in a city where the average rent is $4,000 a month. Officers cannot even afford to live in the very communities that they're sworn to protect. They can't survive there. The numbers just don't work. They commute from hours away, exhausted before their shift even begins. NYPD unions have sounded alarm after alarm about burnout, depression, toxic leadership. Morale isn't just low, it's subterranean. And when officers feel abandoned by City Hall, stripped of authority and priced out of their homes, they don't stay, they leave. And with fewer cops on the streets, the predators smell blood, Violent street crime is exploding, driven by 327 repeat offenders responsible for nearly a third of all the retail thefts in the city. They just roam on scooters, snatching jewelry, phones, and watches at knife point. Teenagers are bringing machetes on the buses. Subway attacks feel like a daily headline. And the craziest part, these criminals brag online that nothing will happen. Because in New York today, nothing does happen. Crime pays, and the city's policies guarantee it. Now, every year somebody says, I wish I had called sooner. And they mean it, because Medicare mistakes only get more expensive with time. So this is why I partner with Chapter. They fix your regrets before they happen by reviewing your Medicare plan for free for the Ron Yates community. And one of our viewers told me if I hadn't called when I did, it would have cost me thousands. So let me ask, why wait to regret it? Now, most people aren't waiting. They're calling 909-563-8279, the phone number at the bottom of your screen, or they're visiting askchapter.org/Ron. And here's what one of our viewers said. So Dick said, Chapter got me $100 back every month. I love it. So why does crime feel unstoppable today? Because prosecutors refuse to prosecute. Under New York's progressive DA culture, dangerous offenders are arrested in the morning and they're back on the street by lunchtime, sometimes with dozens of prior arrests. Felonies get downgraded, cases are dismissed, and judges release violent criminals with zero bail. One offender had 87 prior arrests and still walked free like it was nothing. I mean, these policies aren't accidents. They're deliberate choices. Choices that tell criminals, just keep going. Choices that tell victims, just go ahead and deal with it. Who cares? And New Yorkers are furious about it. So while crime surges, the mayor's big solution isn't strengthening the NYPD, it's replacing it. His new Department of Public Safety isn't a real police force. It's a progressive bureaucracy built to issue citations and not stop the criminals. Critics call it a backdoor strategy to dismantle the NYPD without ever admitting to it. Residents already feel the shift. Fewer arrests, more community mediators, more criminals laughing at systems that can't touch them. New Yorkers say that they feel abandoned because they literally are. This experiment isn't public safety, it's public exposure. And as temperatures drop, the subway system transforms into a desperate refuge. Trains packed with commuters now double as makeshift shelters. Aisles blocked, seats occupied, entire cars turned into encampments. Mental health episodes spike, violent incidents rise, and disease concerns grow. The city has no plan, no facilities, and no urgency to relocate or even assist these individuals. Riders feel trapped between compassion and fear. Meanwhile, tourists avoid the subway altogether. Lifelong New Yorkers are saying that the system has never felt this unsafe. It's total chaos born from total neglect. And so as chaos grows, the people are voting with their feet. Over 800,000 New Yorkers have fled the city, heading to Florida, to Texas, anywhere sanity still exists. Families are done with the crime. They're done with the taxes, the empty promises, and the collapsing services. Florida's government openly advertises its safety, affordability, and order under President Trump's revived national policies. And Trump himself praises Florida as the model of America. Meanwhile, NYC becomes the symbol of what happens when ideology takes over reality and citizens run for their lives. But here's a twist that most New Yorkers never saw coming. The mayor's rent freeze doesn't apply to everyone. Only 25% of apartments qualify. The other 75%, the very voters who cheered this policy, they get slammed with higher costs. Landlords can't raise rent on stabilized units, so they shift the burden to the market rate tenants. Add the mayor's tax the rich plan, and every cost climbs even faster. The people who wanted affordable living are now paying more than ever. Price controls always backfire, and New York just relearned that lesson the hard way. And so now the backlash hits the people least able to afford it, because when landlords are blocked from raising rents on stabilized units and hammered with higher taxes, they do the only thing that they can: jack up prices on market rate tenants. Now, these aren't the wealthy. These are young New Yorkers, families, workers, and lifelong New Yorkers who are barely hanging on. Many landlords are choosing to leave the state entirely, selling buildings or just letting units sit empty rather than bleed cash. The result? Fewer apartments, higher competition, and rents skyrocketing faster than ever before. And so then there's the hidden disaster. Thousands and thousands of rent stabilized units are left to rot. $1,000 per month for a 4-bedroom sounds like a dream, doesn't it? Until you learn that it needs $150,000 in repairs. Now, under the mayor's price controls, landlords would never be able to recover that investment. So the simple answer or solution for the landlords is to just abandon them. Now, these units end up sitting dark, decaying, permanently removed from the housing supply. And with every apartment taken offline, the shortage tightens, demand skyrockets, prices surge. The mayor promised affordability, but his policies are literally shrinking the housing market, and they're pushing the very people that he swore to help. And so this is where this crisis becomes unavoidable. New York City now sits at 1.4% vacancy rate, one of the lowest in the entire country. Economists warn that anything below 5% is considered a severe housing shortage, and New York is operating at a fraction of that. So the mayor's price controls and rent freezes only worsen the scarcity, turning a tight market into a barely functioning one. With so few units available, landlords hold all the leverage. Rents surge, and even middle-class New Yorkers are squeezed straight out of the city. And so nothing exposes the mayor's ideological experiment more than his push for city-run grocery stores, a plan straight out of a socialist playbook. He promised lower prices, full shelves, and food service. But instead, New Yorkers walked into empty aisles, empty shelves, long lines, and chaotic operations run by bureaucrats, not by business people. These stores can't compete, they can't stock products, and they can't stay solvent. Residents mocking it, they're calling it Breadlines 2.0. And they're not wrong. It's a government-run disaster that's unfolding in real time. And this is exactly what economists warned was going to happen. And New York didn't have to learn this lesson the hard way. They didn't. The warning signs were everywhere. Erie Market in Kansas, KY Grocery, Baldwin Market in Florida, every single one collapsed under the weight of theft, mismanagement, and bureaucratic incompetence. These stores couldn't keep shelves stocked. Empty shelves were every day. Couldn't balance budgets, couldn't attract customers. Cities tried zero rent, tax incentives, even subsidies. Nothing worked. These failures weren't flukes. They were proof that government-run retail just doesn't work anywhere. And yet, New York's mayor is repeating the same doomed experiment, but on a much bigger scale. And so while these government-run stores struggle to function, grocery theft gangs are finishing the job. So groups of criminals, they walk in with duffel bags and they leave with tens of thousands of dollars in stolen meat and goods. I mean, workers are assaulted, managers are threatened, security is powerless or non-existent, city-run stores don't employ private security, and the NYPD is just too understaffed to respond. It's a perfect storm. Vulnerable stores, emboldened criminals, and a government that refuses to act. New Yorkers describe it as a scene from a collapsing country because this is exactly what it feels like. And if the city-run stores weren't already gasping for air, the mayor's $30 an hour minimum wage plan finished them off. Small grocers warned him that they could not survive union-level wages on razor-thin margins, but he pushed anyway. So the result? Prices shot up, hours were cut, businesses closed. Even the city-run stores can't sustain payrolls that are that high. The affordability agenda wasn't affordable, it was punitive. And once again, the people who suffered most aren't the wealthy. It's the working class New Yorkers who can no longer afford to buy basic necessities. Because here's the truth. City-run stores, they don't operate like businesses. They operate like bureaucracies. They're forced to pay full benefits, pensions, overtimes, union wages. I mean, they endure layers of red tape, endless committees, and political hires with no retail experience. Every cost is inflated. Every decision is delayed. Every problem that would bankrupt a private business is simply absorbed by taxpayers instead. The result is predictable. Ballooning deficits, empty shelves, and zero accountability. It's that simple. I mean, the mayor didn't build a solution. He built a money pit masquerading as a public service. So at this point, the fear isn't subtle. New Yorkers are openly saying that they don't feel like they live in America anymore. Businesses pack up, restaurants close early, families are whispering about escape plans. And as Florida flourishes under low taxes, strong policing, and President Trump's national restoration efforts, New York feels like the opposite, a showcase city for policies that have failed everywhere else. The symbolism hits hard. One state is rising while another one's collapsing, and the people left behind are asking a haunting question. Was this the plan all along? So this kind of leads us to the unavoidable conclusion. This is the trifecta collapse that's now unfolding in real time. I mean, crime is skyrocketing because the NYPD has been gutted and demoralized. Rents are soaring because freezes, taxes, and shortages destroyed the housing market. And the grocery stores are collapsing because socialism just cannot compete with reality. It is the perfect storm of ideology over logic, politics over people, and theory over survival. New Yorkers are living inside the consequences, and the rest of America is watching very closely because what happens next will define the future of every major city in this country. Mark my words.